When my boss texted me, it sounded like the kind of request you could say yes to without thinking. Elena, quick favor, can you come to dinner tonight? My parents are in town. Elena, it'll make things easier. I'll explain later. I stared at my phone in the break room, rereading it like a hidden meaning would appear. Elena didn't do quick favors. Elena did quarterly reviews and clean spreadsheets and meetings that started exactly on time. If she was asking me for anything personal, it meant something had already gone wrong. I should have asked what make things easier meant. Instead, I replied, sure, what time? Her answer came immediately. 7:30, I'll send the address. Thank you. No emoji, no warmth. Just business, Elena. Except dinner wasn't business, no matter how she tried to package it. All day I told myself it was normal. A boss inviting an employee to dinner with her parents. Okay, maybe not normal, but explainable. Maybe she needed help with something. Maybe her parents were in town for one night and she wanted to show them she had her life together. Maybe she wanted to ask for advice about work without the office overhead lights making it weird. By 7:20, I was standing in front of a house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Warm porch lights, a perfectly trimmed hedge, and windows glowing like something safe lived inside. Elena opened the door before I knocked. She was dressed differently than work. Still elegant, still sharp, but softer. Her hair down, a simple dress, the kind of calm that looked natural until you noticed her fingers were curled tight around the edge of the door. You came, she said, and for half a second she sounded surprised. I said I would. Right. She stepped aside quickly. Come in. The smell hit me first. Roasted chicken, garlic, something sweet like caramelized onions. The kind of dinner that took hours. Elena's parents were already at the table. Her mother stood up like she'd been waiting for a cue. She wore pearls and a bright smile, and the smile widened the second she saw me. Oh, finally, she said. And then, like it was the most natural thing in the world, she walked over and touched my arm. You must be him. I blinked. I'm... Elena's hand slid around my elbow with a grip that wasn't gentle. She leaned in close, close enough that only I could hear her. Please, she whispered. Before my brain could catch up to my mouth, Elena lifted her chin and said clearly, this is my boyfriend. The words dropped into the room like a glass shattering. Her father's face brightened in a way that startled me. He was tall, composed, the type of man who looked like he'd never raised his voice because he didn't need to. Well, he said, standing. About time. Elena's mother laughed, delighted, and held her hands together like she'd been waiting for this exact scene. Oh, Elena, you kept him a secret. My mouth went dry. Elena's nails pressed lightly through my sleeve, a quiet warning. Don't ruin this. So I did what I've always been good at. Improvised until the moment stopped bleeding. Nice to meet you, I managed. I'm Daniel, her father said, shaking my hand firmly. And you are? El... I almost said my real name, then remembered the risk wasn't mine alone anymore. The risk was hers, and she was standing beside me like she jumped off a cliff and expected me to jump too. I said my name anyway, because at least that much truth felt necessary. I'm Ryan. Ryan, Daniel repeated, like he was deciding whether the name was acceptable. Then he nodded. Sit. Eat. Elena's mother pulled out a chair for me, as if I'd just been promoted to family. Elena sat next to me, not across, next to. It wasn't subtle, it was a statement. Dinner began with small talk, but every question had a hook inside it. So, Ryan, Elena's mother said, how did you two meet? Elena reached for her water a little too fast. I heard the clink of ice in panic. At work, I said, deciding that the simplest lie was the one hardest to trip over. We work in the same building. Her mother's eyes lit up. Oh, a love story. Elena smiled like she was fine, like she hadn't just shoved me into a role I hadn't auditioned for. Daniel's fork paused. And you've been together how long? Elena answered before I could. A few months. A few months, Daniel repeated, thoughtful. And you're already meeting parents. Elena's mother waved a hand. Daniel, stop interrogating. It's wonderful. But Daniel didn't stop. His eyes stayed on me, calm and sharp. What do you do, Ryan? I swallowed. Operations. Mostly. A lot of problem solving. Daniel nodded once, approving. Good. Stability matters. Elena's mother leaned forward. And you take care of her? Elena's knee brushed mine under the table. A silent plea. Please say yes. I try, I said. She takes care of herself more than anyone I know. That was true. And because it was true, Elena's expression shifted. Just a flicker, like she'd been expecting me to laugh it off or dodge it. Instead, I'd said something that sounded like respect. Her mother smiled like I'd handed her a gift. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I was chewing food I couldn't taste, watching Elena play her part perfectly. She asked her mother about a new recipe, complimented her father's wine choice, laughed at a story she probably heard 100 times. The only giveaway was her hand. Every so often, she'd tuck it under the table and press two fingers lightly against her own wrist like she was checking her pulse. Halfway through dinner, Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, and stood. I'll be right back, he said. Call. Elena's mother followed him into the kitchen, humming like life was finally on track. The moment the kitchen door swung shut, Elena's shoulders dropped like someone had cut a string. I leaned closer. Elena, I whispered, what is happening? Her eyes met mine, too bright, too tired. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I didn't plan it like this. I ran out of options. Options for what? She stared at the tablecloth like it might give her courage. They've been on me for years. Every call, every visit, it's the same thing. When are you bringing someone home? When are you going to settle down? When are you going to stop focusing on work like it's your whole life? Okay, I said. But why me? Her laugh was small and bitter. Because you're safe. That word hit harder than she meant it to. Safe, I repeated. She flinched. Not like that. I mean, you're kind. You don't gossip. You don't make me feel like I'm losing my mind. And you're the only person I could ask last minute who wouldn't turn it into a thing. Your parents think I'm your boyfriend, I said, keeping my voice low but steady. That is a thing. I know, she swallowed. But if they believe it, they stop pushing. For one night, they'll stop looking at me like I'm a problem to solve. I should have been furious. I should have stood up, apologized, and left. But Elena didn't look like a manipulator. She looked like someone who'd been cornered for so long, she'd started mistaking desperation for strategy. I exhaled. How far does this go? Just tonight, she said quickly. Just dinner. Please. The kitchen door opened again. Elena's mother returned with a fresh tray of food and a bright smile, as if nothing in the world could be complicated. So, she said, sitting down, tell me, Ryan, do you come from a big family? And just like that, I was back on stage. Dessert made it worse. Elena's mother brought out a cake, homemade, and placed it in the center like a celebration. I know it's silly, she said, laughing, but I couldn't help myself. It's been so long since Elena brought someone home. Elena's smile tightened. Daniel returned and poured coffee, then looked at Elena with a softness that surprised me. You okay? He asked. Elena nodded too fast. Fine. Daniel looked at me. Ryan, what are your intentions? I choked a little on my coffee. Elena's foot tapped mine under the table like a warning bell. My intentions, I repeated carefully. Daniel's face didn't change. My daughter is brilliant, independent, but she's also stubborn. She doesn't ask for help until the roof collapses. If you're here, it means something, so I'm asking. It was a father's question, but it also felt like a contract. Elena's mother tried to laugh it off. Daniel, no, Daniel said. I want to hear him. My heart pounded. I could have lied. Something easy, something smooth. But then I saw Elena's expression. Not just fear, hope, too. Like she wanted someone to answer that question in a way that didn't turn her into an object. So I told the cleanest truth I could. My intention, I said, is to be good to her, to respect her, and to not treat her life like something that needs fixing. Silence settled across the table. Daniel held my gaze, measuring. Then he nodded. Good answer. Elena's mother wiped at the corner of her eye, smiling like she'd just witnessed fate. Elena stared at me, stunned, like she hadn't expected me to say something that serious. Neither had I. When the dinner finally ended, Elena walked me to the door, her parents still talking behind us about weekend plans and next time. At the porch, she exhaled like she'd been underwater. I'm sorry, she said again, voice low. I shouldn't have. You shouldn't have, I agreed, softer than I felt. She looked at me as if she deserved anger. I'll fix it, she said quickly. I'll tell them the truth tomorrow. I just needed one night. I didn't answer right away. The street was quiet, the porch light humming above us. Why didn't you ask someone else, I asked. Her voice cracked slightly. Because everyone else would have wanted something back. That snapped something into place. Elena wasn't just under pressure, she was alone inside it. I don't want something back, I said, and I meant it. She blinked, surprised by the simplicity of it. Then her front door opened and Daniel stepped out. He looked at Elena, then at me. His voice dropped, more human than it had been all night. Thank you, he said. Whatever this is, thank you for showing up. Elena's eyes widened, like she hadn't expected her father to say that to anyone. Daniel's gaze softened when it returned to her. We'll talk, he said gently, not as a threat, as a promise. Then he went back inside. Elena stared at the closed door like she was trying to understand the moment. I turned to leave, but she stopped me with 2 words. Ryan, wait. I faced her again. Her voice was quiet. I used you tonight, she said, and I hate that I did. But when you answered him, you didn't make me feel like a problem. Something in my chest tightened. I didn't want to, I said. Elena swallowed. At work tomorrow. Can we just be normal? I nodded. Of course. I reached for my keys, then hesitated. Elena? Yeah? If your parents call and ask when I'm coming back, what do you want me to do? Elena let out a short laugh, almost a sob disguised as humor. Tell them you're busy, she said. Tell them I'm busy. Tell them anything. I nodded. Okay. Then before she went inside, she looked at me with a fragile kind of honesty. Thank you, she whispered, for not making it worse. The next morning at the office, Elena was back in her blazer, back in her role, back behind the glass wall of professionalism. But when she passed my desk, she paused. Not long enough for anyone to notice. Just long enough for me to hear her whisper. They texted me. I looked up. And? Elena's mouth tightened, and her eyes softened in the smallest way. My mom said she slept better for the first time in months, because she thinks I'm not alone. I didn't know what to say to that. Elena exhaled slowly. And my dad, she continued, voice almost flat, said he owes me an apology. That surprised me so much I almost laughed. That's huge. Elena nodded once. It is. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, not as an employee, not as a prop. I'm going to tell them the truth, she said, but I'm also going to tell them something else. What? I asked. Her voice went quieter. That the next time they want to judge my life, they can start by asking me what I actually want. She walked away before I could respond, and I sat there staring at my monitor, realizing I'd gone to dinner expecting awkward small talk and ended up in the middle of someone's turning point. Later that afternoon, Elena sent one more message, not to my work email, to my phone. Elena, I'm sorry again. I won't ever do that to you again. Elena, but thank you for being decent. I stared at the word decent like it was heavier than it should have been, because in her world, decent might have been rare. I typed back, next time, just ask me for coffee like a normal person. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then deal. And for the first time since that dinner, I smiled, because maybe the strangest part of the night wasn't that she called me her boyfriend. It was that for a few minutes, standing beside her under those warm lights, I understood why she needed someone to show up. Not for her parents, for her.